joining. As you know, I'm Rhea Petrie, life and relationship life and relationship host, coach, and curator of conversations that matter to me. And I just am so grateful that, when you have a light in you and you're excited about something, that people that love you and believe in you, they jump on. So you've jumped on to something that makes me tick, and I'm just so grateful. I think the gist of what my hope is and intention is, no matter what topic we're talking about, is to give people a platform to be honest, transparent, to have healing conversations, to talk about things that I feel might not be discussed enough, or at least that I think should be discussed, and then to just bring us all together, hopefully to leave with a little bit of enlightenment, leave a little better than you came. So that's my spiel. And then now I think it's important to introduce our guests. So I am all about the ladies. I'm going to let the ladies go first. And let's start with Ashanti. Tell the people who you are, how old you are, if you feel comfortable, ladies, and also what you do.
Good evening and welcome to the conversation today. As Rhea mentioned, I am Ashanti Frank. I am amazingly 42 years young, and I lead the sales and planning organization for a wellness company. But I've worked in the world of beauty for years, maybe getting back into it soon enough, so we'll keep you all posted, but I'm Ashanti.
Hey, girl, hey. All right, let's hear from Yvette.
All right, my name is Yvette Courtney. I am 32 years old and I am a tax practitioner. So I play around with numbers. And as a creative outlet, I have a candle business where I make awesome candles. So that's me.
Hey, love it. That's my accountant. She's great. Welcome. All right, Kristen, let's hear from you, girlfriend.
Okay, I'm Kristen. I am a hospice nurse. I also work with pediatric patients, and I am new to 35 years old.
Happy birthday, girl. It only gets better from here, okay? Don't let the people lie to you. Awesome. Well, thank you. Love, love, love to have you ladies, and I'm so grateful. Let's introduce our fellas, and I'm going to go ahead and start with Harry.
I'm Harry. I'm 45 years old. I work for the Department of Homeland Security.
Hey there, short and sweet. That's what the guys always give you. Nice to meet you, Harry. Hans, let's hear from you next.
Uh-oh. Hey, everybody. My name is Hans. I'm 46, so I got you by one, Harry. I'm a talent manager of, I manage music artists for the last maybe 10 years or so. So that's as brief as I can make it right now, I guess.
Hey, Hans, I love all the diversity of industries. Is just exactly why I chose all of you. All right, Anaje, let's tell the people who you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anaje Henderson. I am 42 years old, and I am out of Atlanta, Georgia. I own one of the owners of Zucot Gallery, African American art gallery in the city.
Come on, African American art gallery in the city. See, this is about some excellence on these purpose conversations. Love it. You guys just make me just so happy and excited to be in y'all network. So guys, let's dive into this thing. So as we know, the goal of tonight is to talk about dating, okay? And yes, I happen to be married, but most of my life I was dating. And so this is a particularly passionate subject of mine for many reasons. One, because I feel like you learn so much about yourself, about others. There's some awesome connections made through the opportunity to date and to be free and to be single. And again, I know that each of you have something like dope about you and something unique about you. And so I was hoping that you would share some of your experiences with our audience. And so I want to dive right in to the first segment. And this speaks, oh, come on. Thank you for these poll results. And for the viewers, you can't see the poll because you might have registered late. So I'm going to tell you what it says. So I asked everyone just to get a pulse of who was in the crowd. Are you happily single, unhappily single, in a situationship, committed, or married, but wish you were single? And as the spirit led, I knew we'd get a little bit of everybody. So we have 48% that are happily single, 4% that are unhappily single, 4% in a situationship. I did that for the people because I know about them situationships. 39% of our audience is committed, and then 4% married, but wish you were single. Hang in there. The struggle is real. I want to make sure that each of you, no matter what season you are in, that's why I'm so grateful, even more so. I don't believe that only married people talk about marriage and only single people talk about dating. So yeah, I'm excited to have a diverse group in the house, and I want to jump right in. So I want to tell my panelists, this is your time. I do not want to be the host that talks more than everybody else, but I do want to make sure that we just let it flow. So I'm going to throw the first question out there, and it deals with your experience in dating. Okay. So the question is, who or what has had the most influence on your perception of dating? And that can go to whomever. It's not really for a male or a lady. So anybody who feels led, who or what has had the most influence in your perception of it?
An honest answer from me, I think the people I've dated has been my biggest influence, because in every relationship or situationship that you engage in, hopefully you leave learning something new about yourself, or just like dating people and learning people in general. So I think for me, the people that I have dated has taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Great. And you're smiling, so that's a good thing. You're not on here cussing yet. I'm just kidding.
You know, I get there.
You might. It's a free house in here. Hans, did you want to share or add any insight, or any of the other guys?
Yeah, I had kind of maybe off into another space. I would say boomerang. You know, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to be Marcus Graham. You know, like I felt like that vision of the guy cooking salmon and you know, just the whole romantic presentation. You know, like I thought like that was what dating was like. You know, or what we should be, or I should be striving for. So.
Mm-hmm. And for the young folks, Marcus Graham was on Boomerang, for those of you who might know. Go ahead and look that up.
I chose my major in college because of that. So
because of Marcus Graham?
Because of Marcus Graham. I decided to major in marketing. Like I just knew. Because that was 92. That was the summer I graduated high school. So just shows you the impact of media and images and, you know.
Yeah, hopefully you ended with the Halle Berry story and not a Robin Givens.
I had a few.
We're gonna talk about that.
A few Robins, you know.
Anybody else have any insight on that in terms of what perceptions or what influence your perceptions on dating? Otherwise, we have a lot of questions, so I'm gonna keep going.
It's changed throughout, starting with my family, which hasn't been a positive influence from, and also the church as well. I grew up in church my whole life. I'll throw in Disney as well, you know, fairy tale ending, to the people I've dated and to the relationships I am privy to see now, including friendships and, you know, just people I've developed relationship with. So it's changed.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the answers, because it's just showing how we are shaped. No matter how strong you are, no matter how steadfast in who you are, different things and people, especially people that love us, can influence, you know, our dating paths and journeys. Anybody else? Before I throw this next question out there. Okay, because this next question I want everyone to answer. And it doesn't have to be deep and elaborate, but I think it kind of helps us understand where you are. And that question is, were you always intentional about dating, or did you just go with the flow?
For me, it's always important, and has been, and will continue to be so, to be friends first. So the friendship, and if it organically evolves into something else, that's great. But if not, that's okay too. Like, we can be cool and we can, kick it and keep it moving. But I think it's just one of those things to where, I think it's just the evolution of things. And the intent was, I know even still now, like, my purpose is, again, friendship, because I know that creates a very solid foundation. Obviously, there needs to be chemistry, attraction, and all those good things. But there's also, to where, like I was just saying, it evolves and it continues to, to be that way. But it's the friendship for me is very critical and it's key. And yeah, that's my answer.
Intentional friendship. I'm cut from the same cloth. All right, I love that. Harry, what about you? Have you always dated with intention, or did you just go with the flow?
I think when I was younger, late teens, early 20s, it was probably more of a go with the flow. And then as we get older, we mature, we grow more, we want more. we start figuring ourselves out a little bit more and learn what we want, what we don't want, then we get a little bit more intentional.
Would you say you're intentional now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I just felt like asking you that. You guys got to watch out for that.
I'll say, yeah, I think I'm a little bit of both. I meet people who aren't as intentional, but they still they may be a nice person. So I can still hang out, but I make it understood that I'm still looking for something. So.
Oh, I love that. You touched on one of the questions that's coming up. I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. All right, Onaje, what about you? I'm just going ping pong.
I think for me, in the beginning, it was probably go with the flow a lot. So I was maybe a bit of a serial dater when I was younger, just bouncing around. But also, you just find yourself in things, right? So you look up one thing, well, I guess you're it for now, that type of thing. But I think the older you get, the more intentional you become, and you also become more sensitive to the other person's time as well. So understanding that there are biological clocks and everything else, you want to make sure then that you're honoring that also. And so if you're serious, you need to step aside. But also, you're not trying to rush, to this marriage phase because you want to also know the person. So it's a little bit of a balance, but I think intentional, so they understand that you're not just there just to waste time. I think that's important now. And I think the older I've gotten, probably in my mid 30s is when that switched with me.
I was going to say, you sounded real good and grown talking about a biological clock, because I'm like, oh, that's somebody that's grown. But you did say something. I'm always listening to hear what you guys say. You said something like, sometimes you just end up in something. And that just struck me, because, you don't just end, I just slid up. I just ended up in something. So I know that's going to come up, because I'm curious as to how you end up, in something without putting the intention there. That's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Ladies, what about you? Have you always dated intentionally, or did you just go with the flow? Yvette, what about you?
Sadly to say, I'm not dated intentionally. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name, Anaje?
Yes.
I'm just now starting to understand even what that looks like. I've never been a serial dater, meaning I've never dated multiple people at one time. I've always been the type, if I'm rocking with you, and then you just end up in something. It's like, I didn't even mean to be your girlfriend, but.
So you and Anaje didn't have the same kind of path. Love it. All right. I just ended up your girlfriend. It's a lot of us that felt that way, but the other person didn't. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, Hans, how about you? Marcus Graham.
Yeah. The secret to my salmon is rosemary and butter sauce. I've been intentional, but similarly, sometimes you wake up and you're like, wow, something's happening, Like if you're able to have those type of environments, like the work environment, or, just by way of industry, coming up in the music business, kind of sharing certain circles and friendships just kind of spawn. Hopefully you check in at the same time, like, what's happening here, let's maybe lean into this a little bit more. But I think the only time that I've dated intentionally, like clear intention, is maybe on a dating app, where it's like, I'm here specifically for this purpose, but outside of that is, I think there was an idea that if you're too intentional, you can kind of like put too much pressure on the situation, and you kind of want to, leave space for discovery. Like, let's enjoy kind of not knowing each other right now, and like, kind of.
Sorry, my inner dialogue comes out a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I live in the rom-com. I'm sorry. So it's just like, you want to float. Some of the greatest relationships I've had have been where it's just been kind of nice and easy. No added.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's funny. You come from the music world, because you hitting all the R&B songs, talking about discovery. You talking about like.
I was about to hear the verse in a minute. You give me a second.
Yeah, everything. Well, you hit on a few things. Checking in at the same time, I think that's big because I know as a woman and the ladies, I don't know if you feel this way too. Sometimes it's a dance to try to figure out, okay, when do I check in? Do I just go with the flow? What is this? Like for the planners, for the people who just gotta know gotta know what it is kind of person all across the board. So that's interesting. You spoke on that. You also spoken on dating apps. We're gonna talk about dating apps, but then you mentioned the pressure versus the discovery. And I love that. I love that because that's something that I think not a lot of people have even tapped into. Some of us are too much on the pressure, which is a question coming up. And then some of us don't give much room for discovery because everything has to be clear.
I need to know now,
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody else have any feedback on that before we hop to the next question?
I'll answer. I think I'm the only one who.
Oh, yes, Chris. I'm so sorry. Yes, please. I'm never going to forget you.
So, yes, I dated intentionally. I'm not a serial dater. I do not like a lot of people in my life. If I'm giving you time, it's because I want to get to know you and build a relationship with you, whether that is a friendship or something more. My desire, for the most part, we all desire to be in a relationship, have somebody love us, and be loved back. I mean, love them back. So I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling. So yes, I have always dated intentionally.
Sounding real grown. Didn't I say that girl know what she want? Okay. What I love is that you said you don't want to waste anybody's time and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And that to me tells me that you're honest and that you value your time. So I'm grateful that you touched on that. I love that. Anybody else before I switch to the next question? Audience, how you feeling? You guys feeling this so far? I hope so. We're going to get some Zoom chat. I think I'm ready for another poll question. Because I think this might help segue into the next segment, but we're going to see if it doesn't pop up on your screen. Oh, all right. Do you feel, this is for you guys that might be streaming live. The question is, do you feel that social media helps or hurts the dating scene? So go on ahead and answer what you think in terms of whether it helps the dating scene, does it hurt the dating scene, or would you say it's fairly equal impact? And I want to segue right on into the connection between us men and women. What do you guys think? You guys can put it in the chat too. We got wait a minute. Now hold up. I see 0% that it helps the dating scene. I do see 35% saying that it hurts. And I would love to hear if anybody has any feedback on that as to why you think it hurts. And then also, I see 65 of the folks that believe that the pros and cons are equal. So that's pretty interesting. Do any of you all have a strong opinion about that? Because I heard, Hans, you mentioned a dating app, but I'm interesting to see on how it helps versus hurts. So it looks like most of us believe. Go ahead, please.
I think social media could be a great tool, for dating, like in terms of like getting to know somebody, like versus I had this conversation recently about giving out your phone number versus your like IG handle. You know what I mean? Like, hey, follow me on IG. Let's exist in proximity of each other, and see. And I guess maybe if a person was like really that excited in the beginning, then maybe they would give them the number. But I just think that again, to the idea of taking it slow and building a friendship, I think certain social media platforms can actually aid in that process. Where it's like a safe space to like get to know somebody, like see what you like, see what photos, and then decide like, let's meet up or let's take this a step further. Versus like in modern times, it's like you meet somebody and it's like, let's go to dinner right away. And, so, and I guess that might feel unintentional dating. Like I'm trying to tiptoe around that concept, but, I just wanted to offer that notion that I feel like, online social media can be like, can support like friendship, which
nice.
can lead to, dating.
I would like to see everybody. Thank you, Hans. I want to see everybody put a thumbs up if you believe that. So like in social media being helpful, because I feel like what I saw was 65% of us did. Or let me rephrase that. How many of you, I'm like, my mind got ahead of me. How many of you would actually be on social media to help your dating life? Meaning like a dating app, or as Hans was mentioning, to engage. Put a thumbs up if you would do that or have done that or believe in that. Okay, I see some thumbs.
Quick reel.
Please, come on, Harry.
I was just gonna say that I think one pro is the access. It allows you access to people that you may not meet on an everyday, occurrence, like in your regular circles. So just being able to have more access is one pro.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said that, because I was just telling a friend that there's like a few couples that I know that met from DMs, or just what's the other one that everybody swiping to the Tinder. Some people actually got married from that. So I'm sorry, I made myself sound so old. But yeah, I agree. I love that. And these people lived on opposite, sides of the earth. So that's good. Love that.
I think especially now with the pandemic and what's going on the past year, social media has been like a lifesaver and just being able to connect with people in general, let alone on the dating side. But then the other part of it too is that sometimes if you go too far, you can take away some of the mystery of that person too. And pictures don't necessarily have context. So if you're looking at an old picture from somebody in 2015 and you judging her now, like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta handle that with some discretion too. I'd much rather find out about a person by talking to the person.
Right.
And maybe use that as just some supplemental. But for the most part, I love to be able to just actually get to talk to the person. So,
man, Najee, I'm so grateful. Shanti, I'm grateful you touched on that. So I'm gonna tell ladies, fellas, don't use your 2015 photo, okay? Keep it 2021. Go ahead, sis.
No, I think I was gonna, comment on that. Like what Harry was saying, it does allow you access, but there is, and maybe I'm just from the South, a Louisiana girl, but I believe in good conversation. Like I've had people be like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" and all that kind of stuff. First, it's private, so it's for my close circle of family and friends and what I keep them updated on. But then, secondly, like let's talk. We're not gonna text each other to death, be pen pals, and we're not gonna be looking at all our pictures, but we are gonna engage and have real conversation. If we can't do that, then I'm definitely not your girl. Like we got to talk through some stuff and get to know each other. And again, that's why for me, like I said, friendship is important. But there's that's why I feel it's kind of 50-50, because there's a certain thing to it. Like I kind of want to know what you post, but I don't engage in social media like that too. So it's also a personal preference. To see, I'm not about to swipe and look up all your stuff from what you posted 3 years ago. I could really kind of care less. But I've seen social media can be problematic though for some relationships, some people getting to know, they thought they were in one thing and not really knowing what was going on somewhere else. And social media can be, can create a different picture than what you expected. So yeah, it's a 50-50 kind of thing for me.
Love that. And you know why I love that? Because that was a question I'm going to ask, and hopefully the person is here. But that question was asked about how open. So actually there's two. So I'm gonna go to the other one. Kim, let's run that other poll question. So the question was regarding if you feel, men and women, that you should put it all out there when you're dating early on. And so I know Najee spoke to that, Ashanti kind of spoke to that. And I feel like one thing that people, to me, I think people put a little bit too much out there. So just I don't need to see you in your hospital bed. I don't need to see you worshiping the Lord, but then you like this. I don't need to see that. So I just want to know, what do you guys think in terms of laying it on out there? And I'll frame it. I don't necessarily mean, I jokingly segued into this, but the question is really about when you're dating. Like, should you put it all out there? I've heard both sides. So I really would love to hear from the men and the women on this, because I'll tell you why, depending on personality type, some people feel like too much too soon is like going to scare a person off. And then you got the real G's, the real honest player hustle. I'm just kidding. You got those that appreciate honesty. And I just, tell me what I'm dealing with from the gate, So I just want to know how you guys feel about this notion about putting it all out there. And is that okay early on? So let me know from each panelist. Let's see. Who's first?
I'll go. I like honesty. So I definitely feel like how well you connect with that person, and if you can like really vibe with them, because if you get a good vibe. I think it's nice to kind of get things out in the open sooner versus later. So just as long as the connection is great and you feel comfortable with that person to be transparent about certain areas of your life, I think that's super awesome. Like, I would totally love to know in the beginning.
Yeah. I love that.
I agree with you, Yvette. It definitely is one of, there's a connection, or if you just feel the level of comfort there. But I will say too, this kind of recently happened to me. Getting to know this guy, he expressed to me his involvement in church and being a deacon in the church. Now, everyone has their own walk in life and kind of what they do and how they operate and how they move. I'm on my own spiritual journey. But I just have to let him know, like, I cuss, I drink, I drop it like it's hot every once in a while, and maybe too often. So I don't know if I'm going on the
That's
deacon.
what the church people want. Don't let them lie to you. I'm just kidding.
Engaged, but so if you all about that, then that's just that's the G-rated portion of it. We ain't gonna get to the other stuff. But we gonna just honest with it. Like, I just want to let you know what you're getting, what you're up against, and if you down to ride this ride, hey, it's all good. Come on, Deacon. But if you're not, you were warned.
And he want to know, are you ready to shake them hands on Sunday? Okay, first lady. I'm just kidding. I love that. Guys, what about you? Harry, what do you think? What's putting it too much out there early on? Is there such a thing?
I think you just got to feel it out, with who you're dealing with, and feel them out, their personality, and see how well you're clicking, and then you make a decision from there. It's a risk. Relationships are a risk at the beginning, the middle, and even in the end. So it's all a risk. You just got to use your gut and kind of play it by ear.
Come on, you better use your gut. Everybody, we gonna have our little tweetable moments, hashtag use your gut, hashtag. So I want to just read the poll results. I'm not gonna forget about the rest of you guys. It looks like 14% believe you should lay it all out. 49% say no. See what they're all about first before you lay it all out. Because like they say in the church, you don't cast your pearls before swine. I know the word. And then lastly, 37% says it depends on how fast I connect with the person. And I like that, because the truth is, love sees no time. Sometimes you connect and you just be in coffee and candles and Hans's playlist, and then you look up and you done told him your life story. So I love that. Let's see in the chat. I find with the overloaded information during the honeymoon phase, it's easy to very true. Ooh, this is why we're going to get through our questions and get to the audience, because Candace just mentioned with an overload of information during the honeymoon phase, it's easy to overlook red flags. And you are absolutely right. Anybody have any feedback on that? I want this thing to flow. When you put too much. Please, Kristen, what you got to say about that?
I am part of I believe it was 49% of, no, people are crazy out here. Let's not. Part of the beautiful thing about dating is discovering who someone is over time. I know as we get older, I'm old now. I know as we get older, we feel like we're on a time clock and we want to, again, I blame Disney and the church. I meet a man, he's everything I want on paper, and I feel like this is it for me. And I don't take the time, or sorry, I'm getting my thoughts rambled, but I don't take the time to actually discover who he is and actually see who he is. I'm only going by his word. And I'm big on consistency too. Like, you can tell me all day long, I'm this kind of guy, I'm consistent, I'm a lover and all this kind of thing. I need to see it. I need to see who you are. I need your actions to follow up with your words.
Yes.
So, dating with purpose or intentional dating doesn't mean that we gotta tell each other everything right away. Let's take our time. Let's discover. Let's see who each other are. Let's build a friendship, like Ashanti said. So no, don't put it all out there. I'm okay with the social media sliding in the DMs as well. Back to the other question, but just like too much too soon is a little bit scary for me. I should not know everything about you in the first 48 hours. Like,
okay.
Give me a minute.
I love that. Yeah. You know why I love that diversity, Kristen? Because I want to go straight to Anaje, who mentioned dating women that, you know, have that biological clock. And all of our brothers should probably have come across a lady or two that might be in that scenario. So how do you find that balance between navigating, you know, taking your time and discovering? I'm gonna get to you too, Hans, with your discovery phase, but how do you balance that? What do you believe about how much you should put out there of yourself dating?
You know, I think I agree where you have to, at least for me, it's been, I much appreciate finding out as we go along, because a lot of times, at least in my experience, sometimes what they tell you is not the truth anyway. It's what you want to hear. So a lot of times, you know, I've never heard anybody really talk about their flaws when you first meet them. You know what I mean? You may
Right.
find out their flaws, but they're not gonna be like, hey, you know, so I'm kind of trash with money. So the first date, they're gonna tell you, you know what I mean? They're gonna tell you what's really wrong with it. You know, like you will discover certain stuff over time, but I don't think
Right.
that initially, most people are gonna tell you all the things that they think you want to hear a lot of times. It's like a competition almost. So they're gonna say all the good things and everything else. And I think over time, and the beauty of getting to know somebody, you also can determine then when you see the real them if you want to stay. And so like, but it also builds up that emotion then to give me time to say, well, I like her enough to deal with X, you know, as opposed to she tells me everything up front. I'm like, I don't even know you yet. So, and I could be making a bad decision myself by not wanting to get to know her even more now because of something that she may have said that I could be okay with if she just eased into that bad boy instead of just telling me out, you know, out front.
And so do you lead with that? Because I hear you putting the onus kind of on the woman saying, you know, well, if she does this, but do you lead and say, you know what, I mean, I know you're not bad with money, you know, being the entrepreneur that you are, but I'm wondering, like, how do you initiate that process, or do you mirror what's given to you?
No, I think it begins like they were saying before, more like a friendship. So it's not like you don't do that for your friendships either. Like you don't come in just telling all you, like friendships are more organic a little bit. Like, you know, like you don't just say like, hey, I'm gonna ask you to borrow money later on. I'm probably not gonna pay you back. Like, you know, no one does that like in friendship. You know? I think it's the same way here. I think over time you get to know people. Now,
Yeah.
in regards to how fast you do that, I think that also depends on the connection you have with the person. And so
Yeah.
I'm not like a rules person, like it needs to be 6 months or whatever.
Good.
It's all those things.
I love that. I love that. Hans, what about you? And then we're gonna get to the viewers' questions.
I mean, I think I think everybody's kind of touched on it. You know, if you coming in too hot, that can definitely be a turn off, you know, and you don't know what's gonna turn you off, but definitely dumping, you know, I dated a young lady who, you know, was married prior to me, and in the first couple of conversations, she was mentioning like her ex-husband by name in the conversation, to the point where I had to stop and say, like, who's Mike? You know, like who's this guy you keep speaking of? And it was just like, you know, it was like either she's not done processing that injury, you know, or it's
That's
like
right.
maybe, you know, just lack of awareness, you know, and it's just like, hey, I kind of don't want Mike in our dinner table right now, you know what I mean? Like, leave him where he is. I don't mind that you had a life with him. Obviously, at this time I was in my mid-30s, but it just was kind of like, all right, you know. It's like,
Yeah. I love that you said that. Harry, I see you want to say something. Let me hear from you.
So let me ask this. Has anybody ever met someone and you gotten on the phone with them the first conversation, and when you look up, you've been on the phone 3, 4, 5 hours?
Yeah. Let's give Harry a thumbs up. I mean, come on.
Right. So if you've been there, ask yourself, did you find yourself going into topics or sharing things that you did not intend to share in the beginning? And if so, I think it's a testament to letting it kind of flow, going with the flow and following, you know, just how you feel about the conversation and the person that you're talking to at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Feel comfortable and he's leading you in that direction, let him lead, you know.
Oh, wait, was that directed to the ladies?
Oh, well,
I just want to check.
I don't date guys, so I have to speak.
Oh, my bad. My apologies. Yeah, I mean, this is an open panel and all, but my bad. I get it. Okay, let him lead, y'all. Okay. I mean, I love that. All right, well, let's find out what the people say. So, Anybody else? Because I don't want to cut the flow. That was a good little finger snap moment. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to this other question because I did hear Hans mention, and I'm gonna second that because I've been in that situation, and I used to call my friend like, "Ooh, child, he needs to get back with her." Because we don't need to hear her name every time an argument comes up. So let's find out, do you guys have any dating deal breakers? And let's just go around rapid fire and see. Dating deal breaker. I think Hans, you kicked it off, but if you do have another one, please share. So we know we don't want anybody bringing up their exes by name. That's a little, I don't know. Anybody else? Dating deal breakers. I want to hear from everyone.
Yeah, that was a bit aggressive. I don't know if I have one clear deal breaker. Um, it was a lot. I didn't know who she was talking about. I had to ask. But yeah, I mean, uh, I guess lack of attentiveness, lack of consistency. Like I think relationships is it's a trusting space. It's a and it's hard to trust people that are inconsistent. So
Mhm.
and then poor communication. I would say that and I know communication is not like an automatic muscle. We don't just not born great communicators. It's something that we cultivate in time.
Yeah.
Somebody that's like
Some.
yeah, some never arrive at that space where they find their voice, and things of that nature. So some of my peeves looking back that are kind of deal breakers for me would be a woman that doesn't have a voice. Like I want to hear your opinions. I wanted my intellect to be challenged. Like that for me is like if you can't like keep me mentally engaged, then physically I'm gonna meander, or I'm not gonna really remain because I need that more than anything. Like I need somebody to talk to.
Okay, come on. You hitting on it, but I'm gonna let the other panelists answer. But I'm gonna write down what you said because that's definitely the next question in terms of what you do want. So thank you, Marcus Graham, for sharing that. You need to be challenged. Okay, come on, Chris. Let's hear from you. Any dating deal breakers?
Again, it's inconsistency. I agree with Hans, and also just sending your representative. The purpose of us dating is for us to get to know each other, and I cannot do that if we are not honest with each other.
Okay.
So that would be
So you'd like him to let you know that he's bad with money, like early on?
No. It doesn't have to be bad with money early on, but if you know you are consistently late, and you're telling me, you're on time, but you keep showing up consistently late, then hey, obviously you're not. So just honesty, and there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm not good in this area. Give me a minute. Be patient with me. Work with me. I understand that this is something that you really desire or require or whatever. But just communicate that with me. Don't tell me one thing and continue to do another.
Yeah. You know what? I think I want you, what I'm going to do, because Hans kind of did that for us. When you answer, panelists, I want to know the deal breaker, and then I want to know what it is that you do want. Like just a quick little boop, boop, boop. So I'm pretty clear. You said honesty. You said being communicative. Like, hey, Chris, I'm going to be about an hour late all the time. But I told you, though.
Right?
I told you. It's my weakness.